Well, in video this time we will discuss about interpersonal and non-literal meaning. Okay, right away. Interpersonal meaning is concerned with the interaction between speaker or whether and listener or reader. Its function is to enabling of exchanging rules in rhetorical interaction, statements, questions, over and comments, while non-literal meaning occurred when the speaker's meaning different from what the real meaning of the words or sentence. Interpersonal meaning divided into five, namely speech arts, prelocution and elocution, felicity condition, direct and indirect elocution, proposition and implicator, while non-literal meaning divided into three, namely idioms, metaphor, and metonymy. So, let's just talk about interpersonal meaning. First, speech arts. When someone expresses something, he does not only produce utterances containing grammatical structures and words, but he also performs an action through the utterances. Action performed by an utterance called speech arts. For example, you are fired. This utterance can be used as an action to fire someone from his current job. Perlocution and elocution. Perlocution, the influence of the word on the listener. For example, listener apologizes or explains, while elocution, the intention behind the words under it. For example, wanting an apology or explanation for someone being late. Next, felicity conditions. Felicity condition is referred to the effectiveness of speech arts use of the speaker. In definition, felicity condition is a state when the utterances made has met the appropriate conditions such as appropriate context, conventional existence, authority, and also speaker's sincerity. It means to make the utterance can be recognized by the hearer. The circumstance surrounding the speaker must be appropriate when the condition. For example, I sentence you to 6 months in prison. Of these examples, it could be known that the performance won't be appropriate if the speaker is not a specific person in special context. In this case, the speakers must be a judge in a courtroom. Direct and indirect elocutions. The direct elocution of an utterance is the elocution most directly indicated by a literal reading of the grammatical form and vocabulary of the sentence utterance, while the indirect elocution of an utterance is any future elocution the utterance may have. For example, why don't we go to Portugal this summer? Of these examples, it could be known that direct elocution is asking why speaker and hearer do not or will not go to Portugal, while indirect elocution is suggesting that the speaker and the hearer go to Portugal. Propositions and elocutions. Sentence meaning is what a sentence means, regardless of the context and situation in which it may be used. Utterance meaning is what a speaker means when he makes an utterance in a particular situation. For example, a statement by a tourist guide, the inscription above this door, translated into English, means those who enter here will live forever. That includes sentence. Second, what did you mean by telling me you think twice about lending money to Gary? That includes utterance.
The gap between sentence meaning and utterance meaning is least noticeable when speakers are being direct. Politeness is one of the main motivations for using an indirect illocation in preference to a direct one. In the previous unit, we saw how a speaker could carry out an indirect illocation by directly asserting or questioning certain or its felicity conditions. For example, I would like you to feed my cat while I'm on holiday. It means you will feed my cat while I'm on holiday. Second, forceps. Authorized by a surgeon during an operation. It means you will pass me the forceps. Express the proportional content of each of the following directives with a declarative sentence.
And last, conversational implicator. Implications derived on the basis of conversational principles and assumptions, relying on more than the linguistic meaning of words in a sentence. A conversationally implicates B if it is the case that ordering A in a certain conversational context systematically suggests, everything else being equal, that B is true. However, the implicator can be called off. In pragmatics, conversational implicator is an indirect or implicit speech arts. What is meant by a speaker's utterance that is not part of what is explicitly said. The term is also known simply as implicator. It is the antonym or opposite of explicator, which is an explicitly communicated assumption. For example, student A, do you like linguistics? Student B, well, let's just say I don't jump for joy before class. Of these examples, it could be known that A asked B about his feelings about the class, and B said B didn't celebrate before the class. It shows the uninterested feeling of B about linguistic subject. Next, on the non-literal meaning. First, idioms. Idioms exist in every language. They are words or phrases that are not meant to be taken literally. For example, if you say someone has cool feet, it doesn't mean their toes are actually cool. Rather, it means they are nervous about something. Idioms cannot be deduced merely by studying the words in the phrase. Second, metaphor. A metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that are not alike but do have something in common. For example, a river and thirst are not very alike. One is a body of water in nature, while the other can be produced by our eyes. They do have one thing in common, true, both are a type of water that flows. A metaphor uses this similarity to help the reader make a point. Her tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. As a river is so much larger than a few tears, the metaphor is a creative way of saying that the person is crying a lot. There are so many tears that they remind the reader of a river. And the last is metonymy. Metonymy is the use of a linked term to stand in for an object or concept. For example, The White House or the Oval Office used in place of the President or White House staff. The White House will be making an announcement around noon today.